Hello, my name is Sarah. I am a mindset mastery coach and transformational hypnotherapist, and I'm an attachment style specialist. And for today's short video, we're going to be talking about the dismissive avoidant and breakups and why the dismissive avoidant does not go after you, does not try to salvage the relationship, and will not really fight for you or for the relationship. Because I know how that can be to be on the receiving end of that. It can be really challenging, right? You're in this relationship and suddenly there might be just a sudden exit or ejection by the dismissive avoidant. And then you're thinking to yourself, where did I go wrong? I thought things were going well, or I thought this is something we could work through. But suddenly, probably due to them building up a case against you silently for weeks or months and sometimes years, they're exiting, they're ready to go, and there's nothing that's going to change their mind. So why don't dismissive avoidants in particular fight for relationships? Why don't they care enough to save the relationship? Is it ego? Is it pride? Well, yes and no. It's also their internal belief systems. It's their attachment wounding. It's what they believe to be true based on what they've seen or what they've experienced growing up. So the first thing I want to say is relationships should be easy. The dismissive avoidant strongly feels and believes that relationships should come easy. They think that I've talked about this before in other videos, but they'll say, I just want peace, right? I just want my peace. And the truth is, they don't actually want to deal with conflict and they don't know how to do that or go about that in a healthy way. They just want peace. And if you can't give me peace, then you know what? Maybe we're not compatible. Maybe this isn't meant to be. Maybe you're not actually my soulmate. Maybe we're not a match, because love and relationships and marriage shouldn't be this hard. But the truth is that as the partner, you're probably just seeking validation. You're probably just wanting to be seen or heard or understood, but they're not able to offer this to you. So they never actually, like, it was never mirrored to them by their caretakers. They were never actually mirrored true connection or intimacy. So they didn't really experience that growing up. Instead, what they experienced was a family, or like a family of origin, where instead of talking about the like any sort of issues that came up within the family of origin, what would happen instead is it would just kind of get pushed to the side, and everyone's kind of just going about their own life and living their own life, but nobody's actually really connecting in a real way. Okay, so in that sense, this is their internal belief system that really everything should be easy, but that's not really what was going on in their home environment. What was likely going on is things were getting swept under the rug, and there was a huge elephant in the room that was never discussed, right? So the second thing I want to point out is they'll look back at their childhood and they'll confuse silence with peace. They'll think, oh, well, I mean, mom and dad, or whoever the caretakers were, grandma and grandpa, or whoever, aunt and uncle, they had it right because things seemed really easy, right? So they'll confuse silence with peace. And I think that's a really important element. So their parents weren't actually ever working through conflict. They were avoiding pain and hurt. They were avoiding bringing up those tougher topics, right? And so that's what was modeled to the dismissive avoidant. They have this deep-seated fear of depending on somebody else. So this would be point number two. They have this deep-seated fear of, if I depend on somebody else, I will lose my sense of self. I will get, enmeshed in this person, and I won't really be able to operate. Like I will lose my grip. I will lose my sense of control. And we know that a DA typically likes control. They like control over their finances, control over their life, control over what's happening. And so they don't want to depend on you. So what will they do? And this is something I've discussed in previous videos. They'll flaw find. They'll find flaws within you. And again, they're building up a case against you, probably for eons, that you didn't even know about. But what they're doing is they're flaw finding, but they're also not voicing their concerns. They're not really sharing their opinions. So a DA can seem like a really peaceful partner, right, to the person who's maybe not that observant, or maybe just hasn't experienced anything with an avoidant partner before. They can seem to be super peaceful, super easy to get along with. Oh my gosh, they just go along with everything I say. But that's not really what's happening. What's really happening is they're shoving things down. They're avoiding voicing their opinions and their feelings, which leads me to number three. Number three is that they have this deep-seated fear of vulnerability, but it's coupled with a huge attachment to their independence, right? They're like the lone wolves of the world, right? They want their solitary, like they want to be left alone. They're lone wolves. They have this need for independence, this need to be able to get away. And as I've spoken about, auto regulate versus co regulating within the confines of any sort of relationship. They'll expect you to really put yourself out there. So that it's almost like they're looking at you to save the relationship. And they'll expect you to be the one potentially to fight for the relationship, or you to be the one to come to them, even though they probably were the ones who ejected themselves from the relationship prematurely. And they probably came up with some ridiculous reasons why. And you're like going, what in the hell? Because clients come to me and go, Sarah, I'm so confused. It's been 8 months. It's been a year. It's been several years. And I still don't have an understanding of what happened inside of that relationship. And unfortunately, when we're seeking the why and we're just stuck on the why, which is what the ego will do and what the human mind wants to do, is make sense of our experiences, right? But you're not necessarily going to fully understand what happened, because in an avoidance mind, they're avoiding everything. So you're probably, like 99.9%, I can say with assurance, you're not going to get the answers from the dismissive avoidant. And they're probably not going to show back up. You may not hear from them after the breakup. Like if they have to come get their things, let's say, from your house, they're probably not going to even like want to see you. Like they're going to avoid, right? They're pushing things down, they're suppressing, they're repressing. And remember, they're not actually dealing with what happened. They're not dealing with the pain. They're not dealing with the fallout of the relationship or the marriage. They're not dealing with the pain they caused you or the pain you caused them. Instead, they're just trying to avoid. They're trying to distract themselves and keep themselves busy so they don't actually have to process the painful experience of what just transpired, which is the loss, a major loss of a major important person in their life. Think about this for a second. Two avoidants inside of a relationship. Talking about long-term relationship or marriage here. Neither one is going to step up and really put themselves out there. Neither one's going to risk that. I can tell you this. I'm a healing, fearful avoidant, and I was married to a dismissive avoidant. And I can tell you with certainty that neither one of us actually, stepped out and actually showed up for that marriage. Once it was over, it was over. And I did go into the anxious side for a little bit, and then he went for a little bit, and then we both just kind of went into the avoidant, because A, it's easier, and B, also for me, because I've done the healing work and I've learned about attachment styles and attachment theory, and I realized it was actually a very unhealthy relationship the way that it was, right? So in order for things to ever work, it would have to be two different versions of us and a totally different version of a relationship or marriage. So I have that understanding. So it's not just avoidance, right? It's also, well, I have an understanding of what I deserve and what I want, and I don't want to create a situation where that might actually put, a damper on the way that I want to live my life and the joy and happiness that I want to feel. So this is just summing up. Like there are other reasons, but these are some of the core reasons why a dismissive avoidant might not reach out to you or might not fight for the relationship, and that might feel really painful to you. So I hope this video has been helpful. I'm going to cut it a little short here because my neighbors here have decided to blast their music at the park. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are. If you'd like a personal session with me, you can book a discovery call below. I may be doing away with those in the near future, and then you'll just book directly with me. Thank you so much, guys.